Oh, hi. Happy Mother's Day, all you moms from Zazoo Plazz. Part-time superhero, full-time mom. I found this. I had this hanging on my door for my decoration for May. I had this hat and I had this scarf, and I said, "Oh, I'll just hang that up. Just put that on my front door." And it's nice, isn't it? It says "Do not disturb." It's perfect. It reminds me of something. The month of May always reminds me of my mother-in-law. God bless her. She she could take like a she had this she had a lot of hats. She was great for decorating. She had a great sense of color and style, and she was always mixing it up. You know, and she took for our wedding. We had 1995. We had these. This is just a little aside. May it's actually May 12th. But this is for the weekend. Mother's Day, May 11th. Fourth Sunday of Easter. Anyway, yeah, a little Mother's Day story here. We had these like hot pink floral centerpieces that we put around like candles. The like lamps with candles in them at our wedding on all the tables. Very nice. And then after the wedding, they were fake flowers. They weren't. I don't think. Yeah, they weren't real. We had real flowers for the for me and the bridesmaids and me and everybody. And yeah, but we had these fake things. They were very nice. I think my mom may have made them. We had them made custom. And after the wedding, she took hers. We gave her one, and she took it home. And that thing ended up. I think she put it on a hat, and she hung it in her kitchen. And it ended up in lots of different places as a wreath on the door. So I always, when I see things like that, I'm reminded of her sense of style, her just you know she had a very colorful personality, and to you know um, she liked to take whatever she had lying around the house you know and make it and decorate with it. And I'm realizing that I have a little bit of that because her sun was conjunct my ascendant. Now, your ascendant is the way people view you. People kind of think I'm a little kooky and a little quirky, and but I have a very good, I know how to make things look nice, and I know, she was Libra. She could, she had that sort of. She could be very direct, but she was always, you know, meeting people and, banging them on the back and how she had a very outgoing personality, very, very friendly, and then she could just take things. My mom was not so, my mom was more reserved in her style, different. But everybody's got their own style, and I'm talking about moms today. Obviously, you know. Uh, so we had our family weekend. We had our youngest son, ZP, graduated from UConn this weekend. So that was Saturday. And I went up, picked up my dad. Dad's like, "No, I can't drive, I don't want to drive at night. It's going to be late." So I went to next town over, a couple towns over, picked him up, went up to campus, went to my kid's house. The girlfriend was already there. So, and the cat was running around the yard and stuff. My other son, our older son, was there, and my, you know, former spouse, his dad was already there. So we all went together in the minivan and, to park on campus. And I got all these guys in the car. Yeah, oh, are you going to go that way? Or are you going to? The Google lady's talking at me. And then my dad is telling, oh, you're going, looking at the white lines on the road and, making comments like, eh, some newer cars have a sensor that goes off when you go over those lines, implying that my 2007 minivan that doesn't have them. I said, Dad, look, they're on the road. So I went over the middle line and went, like, oh, shut him up. You do what you have to do, people. I'm giving him a ride out of the goodness of my heart. He's complaining that I'm going over the line. Everybody just, anyway, we all got there. We saw the kid, and all right, so, um, so we go and, we're in the big stadium where they have the basketball games at Gamble Pavilion. And, so we're sitting in the stands and my dad's complained and said, oh, some these people come to these games. I thought we were going to have chairs to sit in because it's benches, because it's students. They go and they watch the games and he says, those people down there have chairs. I said, yeah, those are the deans and the professors and the students. They have chairs. When I graduated from UConn, I got my MBA. We were in Jorgensen and we had theater. It was the theater and we had nicer seats. But that was the business school, so it was a smaller group, and it might have just been the graduate business, graduate, yeah, graduate business school, and so, it was the business. It was just the grad school, I think. It might have just been the grad business school. Anyway, which is still there. The building is still there. I took pictures of it, and they did nothing to it. It's the same exact building with the stains down the side that I remember and the thing on the top. But everything else, I was talking about the graduation. I took a walk around. The business school is unrecognizable. When I was there, the damn bricks were falling off the library. They had plastic on the library. You had to run like hell to get in there so the bricks don't fall on your head. And the business school was, circa 1960 something. It was just like old. It was like a high school inside. Those, chairs with the arm. They have a state of the art, beautiful business school now. I mean, I barely recognized it with all this money that they've got from, all various sources and winning basketball games. Everything is like, wow. Even my oldest son's like, they got a volleyball center. They got the state of the art football, it's, training center and basketball training center. And I just remember, and the ice skating rink that I remember was just like an old, like a warehouse with like a thing over the top, and it was like half open. And now they got you know, and I'm just walking around going, oh. It's just too shiny. It's too nice. Take it back. But anyway, so this is what my kid enjoyed for the past 3 years. He transferred from New Haven. It was where his brother was. He took fire courses there. Here he got his forestry degree. But yeah, so, and then the forestry, they went by major, and there's 2,000 kids there, and my kid is in the very last group. So I had to sit through an hour and a half of speeches, and the speaker was the guy, one of the guys. I don't know, I guess he's somehow connected, and he was a very good speaker, and he was very motivational, and he was a Gen Xer, and he grew up on the Pequot, the Mashantucket Pequot reservation. I guess, back and forth, part of his growing up. And and that's where he went to work after he got his degree from UConn. So it was very interesting to hear him, talk about the traditions, of his, of the Pequot Nation, and now it's, they've got the casinos in Connecticut. For those of you not familiar, they have Mohegan Sun. So there's actually lots of different tribes in Connecticut, and the name Connecticut, the state, means is means the river that runs down to the sea, or something about the river dividing the land or something. So there's a lot of rich, Native American tradition in Connecticut. Um, so that was appropriate because all the students there were majoring in some sort of environmental science, health, agriculture, and UConn is big on that. So my other son's school, University of New Haven, their thing is forensic science. They have the Henry Lee School there. So I have one kid who was obsessed with. He was always the policeman, and the other one was the fireman growing up. So that's what they pursued, and it's funny how that works. Um, yeah, so it was a nice Mother's Day. Um, everybody was tired, so we didn't go out to eat. But they had nice refreshments there. They had little sandwiches and cheese and fruit platter, and we had a little bit of the ice cream. We had some mango ice cream. They have a dairy bar, and the students run it. And there's cows, and they make the ice cream. It's pretty cool. Um, my older son just came back from Italy. His girlfriend's still over there finishing her courses. He went all over Italy. He got me a nice soap. Sister's Wicked Good Soap. Look at that. It smells really nice. This he got at the New Haven has a farmer's market. I'm lucky. I got two great kids. And then he got me this, nice, yeah. He went to Rome. He came back the day they picked the new Pope, Pope Leo. But he was there on Good Friday Pope, before Pope Francis. You can't make this stuff up. He was there. So, having grown up Catholic, that was meaningful to him. They went to the Sistine Chapel and they looked all over. He went to Venice and he got me a little magnet for my magnet collection because I have one. From everywhere he goes, everywhere I go, pick up little magnets. I got my mother's little angel here because, it's Mother's Day. I'm thinking about Mom. So, when she passed, I inherited her little angel collection. And this is the one. She had a willow tree. Yeah, she had a whole bunch of these. And so, I rotate them. I put them up on my little altar, my little bookcase in my office. So I don't know if you can see. Oh, you can see. Oh, there she is. Okay. Get to it, Zazoo. All right. Well, I had so much to talk about today. It's such an exciting weekend. So yeah, we didn't go out to eat, but yeah, getting to it. So I hope everybody had a good Mother's Day, all the moms. Oh yeah, and then so I had one son text me today, last night, the older one, nice to see you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. He's always the first one. And then the other one, 10 o'clock at night, I'm on the treadmill. And he calls, I said, I'm on the treadmill. He says, yeah, I can hear it. I got my tunes on, And he's like, well, I didn't know what your schedule was like. I thought I'd take a chance, call you at night. He's my key. He knows me, that kid. So, yeah, I had put off half my run and half my run after. But, yeah, he was over his girlfriend's house on Mother's Day, and they had a tree that fell down in the thunderstorm. And, he got his stuff out of the truck, and he's, sawing it and clearing it for them. I don't know if they paid him. They probably did pay him. It was a lot of work. But he's just that kind of kid, you know. He likes to help. So yeah, so today I got all that. I've got a lot of catching up to do because of all this peopling and stuff. I had to go out and get a dress, and I had to paint my nails, and I didn't buy shoes. I did get a $10 dress at Savers, which is a Liz Claiborne, and then I went. I got two dresses, so I'm looking. It's one of them I got to bring back because it's just too heavy and too big. I did go to the mall, whatever's left of the mall, and I didn't see any shoes I liked, but it was just as well because the shoes that I was going to get there went with the we're going to go with the dress that I'm going to bring back. And but the shoes there was a pair I liked, and they were like, oh, and then I went to another store, the only two stores that are left, and they wanted like 50, $60. That would have been five times what I paid for the dress, and it didn't make sense. So anyway, pen on pen on my shin here. Okay, stop it. Acts of the Apostles, fourth Sunday of each. So this is interesting. It was so you know, I don't do the Catholic thing anymore. I'm lifelong Catholic, but I don't do the whole structured Catholic thing. You know, but I'm not a Catholic. You know, I was, and now I'm moving on. But I guess the new Pope Leo, who's American, which is everybody's making a big deal out of that, even though he's he's a missionary. He spent time in Peru. I understand. He's a lot of different countries. He speaks many languages. Um, so it's interesting that this week's readings are from the Acts of the Apostles about the first missionary journey of Paul and Barnabas. And Pope Leo gave his first mass, and he's going all over, already. So it's kind of a parallel here. He got right to it. So Paul and Barnabas are, in this town, and they're talking to the people, and they're having pretty good reception. They're talking to their own people, to the Jewish people. But the Jews got jealous of, them, people being attracted by their energy, by what they were saying. And so the Jews, it rejected them. So Paul and Barnabas, they said they, shook the dust off their feet. I always think of that in protest, and turned to the Gentiles who did appreciate and support them and receive them. And they said, that all destined for eternal life came to believe. And they said that their own people, Jews, condemned themselves unworthy of receiving eternal life. In other words, Paul and Barnabas, no skin off their nose. I mean, they're already, they're already, you know, they're among the ones who, have seen, heard the news and changed their lives and devoted their lives to helping other people to come along with them. Uh, you know, so it's interesting that they only hurt themselves by trying to hold St. Paul and Barnabas back. They only ended up hurting themselves. So I like that, shaking the dust of their feet off, because if one place, and I've experienced this myself in my life. I've been places and people didn't receive me well. In fact, kicked me out. Whatever. I've been kicked out of jobs, kicked out of people's houses, kicked out of relationships. Kicked out of places. And after a while, you just learn to shake it off, get rid of their energy, and move on. And find people, eventually, you find people who appreciate you and understand what you're talking about, and they feel uplifted by your being around. So, um, the psalm is all you lands, all you lands. In other words, the idea is that we are his people, sheep of his flock, all you lands. In other words, all the peoples, are joyful, not just these people. It's a sort of a global. This is a global message this week. You know, um, and then the Book of Revelation, John has a vision of great multitudes from every race, tongue, and nation, standing before the Lamb, Jesus throne, in white robes, holding palm branches, which are palms. Palm branches are like, you've graduated. You've won. You've done you've won the race. You've won your race. You've gotten rid of your karma and your baggage. It said these are the ones who washed their robes and survived. Made them white and survived the times of great distress. Now this is a prophecy that he's making. But this is going to happen in the future. That's what the Book of Revelation is. It's a vision that John the Apostle had. It talks about the lamb. There's all these shepherd images. The lamb giving shelter. People, these people in the white robes, they won't have to be hungry or thirsty anymore. This is a symbolic thing. They won't have to cry anymore. They'll be sheltered. Um, okay, so then there's the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and mine know me. Jesus says. So these all tie in together, right? So but I thought that the perfect song, with all the washing of the robes, I thought of "Dirty Laundry" by Don Henley. Now that okay, so the song, it and it's still true today, isn't it? Those of you who know this song was released. Let's see, it was from his first solo album, "I Can't Stand Still." It was in the Eagles, and he released this one. It was the number one on the Billboard Top Album Tracks, uh, 1982, October of '82. Even before it was released as a 45 single. Spent 3 weeks at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, the single, and was certified gold in early 1983. March 1983. It sold 1 million copies. So, and now this song was about the network TV news, tabloidization of the news. In other words, not sort of, trying to focusing fear, dishing out fear to get people to watch. Now this was the '80s, and you know, what we're living in today. Um, we all know that crap is king. Give us dirty laundry. Now this song in particular, he was writing about the deaths of John Belushi and Natalie Wood, which back then there was a lot of gossip, a lot of rumors and sullying their name, their good name, by how they died and speculating how they might have died and, this and that. Um, I was in high school then. I don't remember. I remember John Belushi dying, and I remember Natalie Wood, you know, hearing about her dying. I wasn't exactly sure who she was because I was, pretty young at the time. But I guess, and he also Don Henley was, which I kind of had heard. Um, he was arrested in 1980, and I'm not going to go into the details. You can look it up, but his own experience with the media after that, and how they treated him in his name. So, you know, air your dirt. Airing your dirty laundry means, discussing. It's defined as discussing embarrassing or unpleasant matters that you prefer to keep private in public. So, the Acts of the Apostles today says that, the elders incited the women of prominence and leading men of the city to stir up a persecution against Paul and Barnabas. So I said, this is appropriate, um, because that's essentially what it is. Kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down, kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down. So, if you're in the public eye, whether you're doing, you're up, you're doing, you know, you're having a good fortune, or you're down in your luck or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're equally susceptible to people, you know, in this modern age. And now we have social media. So, back then it was just TV and, news. And mostly TV news is what they're talking about. Now, no official video was done for this, but Global News did a parody of the parody video in 1985. And so that's what I'm going to put a link down below if you want to watch that. It's, it's funny. But some guys in trench coats dancing. It's good. And then I guess there was some kind of Miami Vice tie-in. Yeah, but this was it was a good song. And I've got the Eagles singing it live too. I'm gonna post. So, yeah, this is appropriate, because these are the times we're living in with social media. It's even more intense, and you really have to be discerning, what you feed yourself with, not just food and drink, but what you expose your your ears, your eye, your senses to, what you feed your soul with. You have to really be discerning whether you allow yourself to be taken in, like a sheep, taken in. Who are you following? Who do you follow? And does it feed your soul? Does it look, is it something that's going to get you to that higher place? Or is it something that's going to lower your energy and take you down? So, yeah, that's it. I'm getting hungry for my snack, and I'm going to make some, my kid, the oldest one, he brought me back, you know, I get on my pants. Oh, nail polish from when I did my nails. Um, he he brought home some cheese from Bologna, Italy, where his girlfriend is. It's Parmesan. It's got the rind on it, and he wrapped it up. And he actually got, he brought it. He had to take it through customs and all this stuff, and you know, so he brought me that, and so I'm gonna grate some on my red clam sauce with the linguine that I'm gonna make later. And he said, "Mom, you can take the rind and you can, put it in something. Make, like, if you're making stew or soup or something else." So I have to. He's such a foodie. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to go out for pizza because I had the real pizza in Italy." Now he's such a food snob now. Oh, excuse me. The the He said, "But you know what? The pizza in New Haven is actually pretty good. It's probably the best." Anyway, so until next week, have a great week, and I'll be here, same place, different time, and I'm going to make extra sure that this video saves. If you watched last week's, you know what I'm talking about. So here we go. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye.